Hello everybody and welcome to the 4th episode of my series booking all Japan Pro Wrestling here on Total Extreme Wrestling 2020. I hope you are all having a lovely day. We are here for the first night of our Royal Road tournament. It is a single elimination tournament which will take place over the course of 3 nights with 16 competitors in a single elimination format. On tonight's show we have a 6-man tag team match to open the show, and then we go straight into 8 first round matchups. Those matchups are Takao Omori vs Tajiri, Koji Doi vs Yuko Miyamoto, Shuji Ishikawa vs Shikiro Iri, Hartley Jackson from Pro Wrestling 01 vs Zeus, Hayato Tamura from Pro Wrestling 01 vs Yuma Ayagi, Kuma Arashi vs Shotaro Ashino, Suwama vs Kohei Sato, and in our main event, a huge blockbuster dream match. Kento Miyahara goes up against Takeshi Sugiura from Pro Wrestling Noah. We've got some really good matchups here. I'm really excited to get into the tournament. So, with no further ado, let's start the show. In our opening contest, the Total Eclipse trio of Hokuto Omori, Jake Lee, and Yusuke Kodama defeat Akira Francisco, Alejandro, and Black Mansuri when Jake Lee pinned Black Mansuri with a backdrop suplex. 56 rated match, Jake Lee had a 72, Kodama with a 48, Omori with a 44, Akira Francisco with a 55, Alejandro with a 44, and Black Mansuri with a 45. Not a shabby opener there, just wanted to get Jake Lee on the card somewhere, and we were very limited for time due to having 8 first round matchups. I'm sure on the second and third night cards we'll have much more room for some undercard junior heavyweight matches. Then in our first tournament match of the show, in a 38 rated match, Tajiri defeats Takao Omori in 10 minutes and 20 seconds by pinfall with a buzzsaw kick. This was easily going to be the worst match of the tournament, so I thought it would be good to get it out the way early, not to be rude. But yeah, 38 is about what I was expecting. Moving into our second match, which will hopefully be a little bit better. In a 60, Koji Doi defeats Yuko Miyamoto. Unfortunately, I can't repeat the name of his finisher there, but Koji Doi with a 46, Yuko Miyamoto with a 61. In our third match of the night, Shikiro Iri. Oops, no, that's the wrong match. I've got the match card on the document next to me incorrect. In this match, Zeus defeats Hartley Jackson in 9 minutes and 54 seconds with a neckbreaker. 62 rated match. Zeus had a 66. Hartley Jackson had a 48. That's a really good performance from Zeus. He is definitely one of our top main event talents. And of course, he has a All Asia Tag Team Championships match looming. Him and Izanagi versus Atsushi Onita and Masanobu Fuji. Anyhow, that is not his concern tonight. He gets past Hartley Jackson. Then in our next matchup, we have Yuma Ayagi defeat Hayato Tamura in 14 minutes and 32 seconds by submission with the endgame. Ayagi with a 54, Hayato Tamura, who I think has star potential dripping from head to toe, with a 48 for a 58 rated match. That's pretty good. Then in our next matchup, which I think might be the Iri versus Ishikawa match that I got wrong earlier, it is, and Iri defeats Ishikawa in 14 minutes and 57 seconds by pinfall with a spear. Both men had a 57 rating, but the match got a 60, so that's always good to see. Then up next, I believe we have Kuma Arashi versus Shotaro Ashino. We do another 60 rated match, which sees Ashino pin Kuma Arashi in 14 minutes and 43 seconds with a T-bone suplex. Ashino had a 62, Arashi had a 51. Former teammates were these two former members of Enfants Terribles. Of course, Ashino was kicked out of the stable earlier this year. Jake Lee assumed leadership and it rebranded to Total Eclipse. But on this night, it looks like Arashi picked the wrong side as Ashino was victorious. Then moving on to the next bout, in a 65, Suwama defeats Kohei Sato in 20 minutes and 26 seconds by pinfall with a backdrop driver hold. These two have wrestled twice this year. Kohei Sato unsuccessfully challenged Suwama for the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship in February, I believe it was, and then Sato got a win back during the Champion Carnival. So Suwama's victory here brings the trio of matches between them in 2021 to a 2-1 lead for Suwama. And then next is our huge main event. It's Kento Miyahara versus Takeshi Sugiura. I'm so excited for this match. Holy smokes, a 79 rated match sees Takeshi Sugiura defeat Kento Miyahara in the first round of the tournament. Holy smokes, a 79. What is there to be said? What a performance. Kento Miyahara had a 75, Sugiura had a 67. Can you call this an upset? I don't know. Is it really an upset? This is a match that was supposed to happen in last year's Champion Carnival, but unfortunately the pandemic cancelled the tournament, and Sugiura did not feature in the rescheduled tournament in the fall of last year or in this year's tournament. It was a matchup that I had in mind to book when I started this series, and I thought the Royal Road single elimination tournament would be the perfect place to do so. I'm thrilled to see it get a 79. That's just fantastic. And that will wrap up night 1 of the tournament, a 74 rated show. That is fantastic. Of course, Kento and Sugiura deserve much praise in my opinion. And as for the last person we praise, I think I'll go with Zeus, because I remember being particularly impressed by his performance against Hartley Jackson. Kento was happy with the speech, Sugiura seemed pleased, and Zeus seemed pleased as well. So I'm going to advance to the second night of the tournament, and then I'll cut back when we have that show booked. Welcome back for the second night of the Royal Road tournament. The 4 quarterfinal matches we have on deck tonight include Suwama versus Takao Omori, Koji Doi versus Yuma Ayagi, Shikiro Iri versus Takeshi Sugiura, and in the main event, Shotaro Ashino versus Zeus. We also have a few undercard matches to go over, so with no further ado, let's get into the show. In our opening match, Akira Francesco defeats Alejandro in 9 minutes and 40 seconds. Akira has a 58, Alejandro with a 40 for a 54 rated match despite the psychology issues. Akira has been a really solid junior heavyweight wrestler for us. I've been very pleasantly surprised by his performance, and to see him already pushing the upper 50s is a great sign. Then in our second match of the evening, the Next Stream trio of Atsugi Oyagi, Kento Miyahara, and Rising Hayato defeat Dan Tamura, Hikaru Sato, and Koji Iwamoto in 15 minutes. When Kento pins Dan Tamura with a blackout. Kento led the match with a 76, no surprises there whatsoever. As for the other contestants, Oyagi had a 42, Rising Hayato had a 38, Koji Iwamoto had a 56, Hikaru Sato had a 58, and Dan Tamura had a 36. Of course, Rising Hayato challenged Koji Iwamoto for the World Junior Heavyweight Championship, and that title match will take place on the final night of the Royal Road tournament tomorrow. Then in our third matchup of the evening, in a big 4v4 match, Total Eclipse defeat Yankee Giant in 15 minutes and 5 seconds when Jake Lee pinned Fuminori Abe with a backdrop suplex. Abe continues to be penalised due to the shoulder injury that he has, and he was also really off his game, so he only got a 37. Elsewhere in the match, Kodama had a 52, Kumarashi had a 53, Jake Lee had a 70, Hokuto Omori had a 41, Yuko Miyamoto had a 58, Shuji Ishikawa had a 63, and Kohei Sato had a 56. I only realised when booking this match that I had all 3 members of Yankee Giants lose in the first round of the Royal Road tournament, so perhaps not the best way to debut a new stable, but these things happen, sacrifices had to be made, and this match got a 64, so that's a pretty good rating. Then moving it back into the tournament action, in the first tournament match of the night, Suwama defeats Takao Omori in 9 minutes 54 seconds with a last ride. 54 rated match, Suwama had a 65, Takao Omori had a 34. In hindsight, maybe I should have had this be a first round match and we could have done Kohei Sato versus Tajiri and then rejig the tournament so that Suwama versus Kohei Sato was a second round match, but hindsight is a beautiful thing and it all gets us to the same destination anyway. Suwama advances to the semi-finals tomorrow. Then in our second quarter-final match, a 61 rated match, Yuma Ayagi defeats Koji Doi in 15 minutes and 23 seconds by submission with an end game. Ayagi had a 48, Koji Doi had a 43. Suwama and Yuma Ayagi are on different sides of the brackets, so Suwama will face the winner of Shikiro Iri versus Takeshi Sugiura, while Yuma Ayagi will face the winner of Shotaro Ashino versus Zeus. Up next we have Shikiro Iri versus Takeshi Sugiura, and that match gets a 70 rating. Holy moly, Takeshi Sugiura, Match of the Year Factory. Sugiura defeats Iri in 15 minutes and 18 seconds by pinfall with an Olympic slam. Sugiura had a 68, Iri had a 61. Great match. You have to think how much better it could have got if it went 20 minutes and didn't have the too short for an important match penalty. But even still, I'm thrilled with a 70. Then in our main event, we have Shotaro Ashino versus Zeus. Could it possibly outperform this match? So close. It gets a 69 when Ashino defeats Zeus in 20 minutes and 1 second by pinfall with an ankle hold. Ashino had a 64, Zeus had a 62, and our semi-finals are officially set. it will be Shotaro Ashino versus Yuma Ayagi and Suwama versus Takeshi Sugiura. Those two semi-final matches will open the show, and then of course the tournament final will be tomorrow's main event. But before then, this show gets 68 rated. That's fantastic. For who I will praise Kento Miyahara for another brilliant performance, Takeshi Sugiura for the same reason really, another brilliant performance. And as for the third person, I will praise Sugiura's opponent, Shakira Iri, for helping get that 70 rated match. Kento was very happy with our speech, Sugiura seemed pleased, and Shakira Iri seemed pleased as well. So once again, I'll cut the video here and be back for the third and final night of the tournament. So here we are, the final night of the tournament. We will open the show with our two semi-final matches, Takeshi Sugiura versus Suwama, and Shotaro Ashino versus Yuma Ayagi. We will also have two title matches today as Koji Iwamoto attempts his second defense of the World Junior Heavyweight Championship against Rising Hayato, and Atsushi Onita and Masanobu Fuchi challenge Izanagi and Zeus for the All Asia Tag Team Championships. The winner of the Royal Road tournament will be Jake Lee's first challenger for the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship. That will take place next month in October. But I've just realised that I don't think I set the main event to win the Royal Road tournament. So I'm going to cut away, fix that. When I cut back, it will be the first match of the show. So here we are, our first match of the night. It's the first semi-final as Suwama defeats Takeshi Sugiura in 20 minutes and 2 seconds by pinfall with a backdrop driver hold. 71 rated match, you would expect nothing less with how exceptional Sugiura has been throughout the tournament. Unfortunately, Suwama was really off his game and only got a 51. I feel like that is by far the lowest performance we have seen from him so far in the series, and you have to wonder how good this match could have been if he wasn't off his game. Sugiura, no fault on his part. He got a 70, he's been exceptional, and I'm delighted that we've been able to use him on these three shows. So Suwama has booked his place in the final. He will face the winner of Shotaro Ashino versus Yuma Ayagi, which is up next, and the result is... holy smokes, what happened here? A 49 rated match due to poor chemistry, as Shotaro Ashino defeats Yuma Ayagi in 15 minutes and 27 seconds by pinfall with a T-bone suplex. Wow, this is a calamity. As I said, they don't have any chemistry, they just didn't click and it showed. Shotaro Ashino was also really off his game, only got a 49, Yuma Ayagi with a 42. Quite the dampener after the brilliant Suwama versus Takeshi Sugiura opener. But nevertheless, it's going to be Suwama versus Shotaro Ashino in the main event. We have seen Suwama and Shotaro Ashino form somewhat of an alliance following the breakup of Enfants Terribles and formation of Total Eclipse, although Ashino has never been formally inducted as a member of Evolution. Suwama has defeated Ashino twice in singles competition. They were both Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship matches, and Ashino will be seeking his first victory against Suwama in the Royal Road Tournament final in the main event. But before then, we've got some undercard matches to get through. So first up, Hokuto Omori and Yusuke Kodama of Total Eclipse defeat Akira Francisco and Alejandro in 10 minutes and 26 seconds when Kodama pinned Alejandro. 48 rated match. Unfortunately, Alejandro broke his ribs. He only got a 43, while Akira Francisco had a 58 and came out of this match looking good, which is encouraging. Kodama had a 49 and Omori had a 42. So good undercard match there. Moving on to our next match, Dory Funk Jr. just confirming that Alejandro broke his ribs. We get a 54 rated match as Shuji Ishikawa and Yuko Miyamoto of Yankee Giants defeat Black Mensuru, that's not how you say it, Black Mensuri is what I meant to say, and Takara Mori in 9 minutes and 33 seconds when Miyamoto pinned Omori. Shuji Ishikawa had a 60, Miyamoto had a 59, Black Mensuri had a 46 and Omori had a 33. A quality win there for Yankee Giants. Then moving on to our next bout of the evening, in a 60 rated match, Atsuki Oyagi and Kento Miyahara defeat Fuminori Abe and Kohei Sato of Yankee Giants in 9 minutes and 42 seconds when Kento pinned Abe. We all know that Abe is working through the shoulder injury, he only got a 43, Sato had a 55, Oyagi with a 45, and Kento Miyahara with a 75. Kento is fantastic, he's the best wrestler in the company, and continuing to see him perform so well, despite the poor form, just makes me even more excited for when he snaps out of this slump. Then moving into the next match, a 56 rated match as Jake Lee, Kuma Arashi and Koji Doi defeat Dan Tamura, Hikaru Sato and Ryuki Honda in 9 minutes when Jake Lee pinned Honda. Jake Lee had a 73, Kuma Arashi with a 53, Koji Doi with a 45, Dan Tamura had a 35, as did Ryuki Honda, and Hikaru Sato had a 57. Jake Lee continues his phenomenal run of form since winning the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship with another performance in the 70s, and I'm sure whoever he faces next, whether it's a rematch against Suwama or Shotaro Ashino, it will be a fantastic match, and I'm very much looking forward to it. But before then, in a 48 rated match, Zeus and Izanagi make their 6th defense of the All Asia Tag Team Championships against Masanobu Fuchi and Atsushi Onita in 10 minutes and 26 seconds when Izanagi pinned Onita. Despite winning the match, Izanagi was the worst performer with a 31. Zeus had a 62. You can definitely say he carried the match. Fuchi had a 34 and Onita had a 35. So to get a 48 rating is all thanks to Zeus, don't get it twisted. Then in our second title match of the evening, Koji Iwamoto makes his second defense of the World Junior Heavyweight Championship in 15 minutes and 2 seconds by pinfall with a Hurricane Driver. 56 rated match. Iwamoto had the same rating as the match, a 56, while Rising Hayato had a 38. Rising Hayato will only continue to get better, so it's good to see him perform well in a premier spot like this, in a title match against Koji Iwamoto, and after having a few concerns over the performance of Iwamoto, to see him carry Rising Hayato to a 56 rated match here is a relief. Then we have a segment after the match in which we see Yusuke Kodama of Total Eclipse hit the ring and lay out Koji Iwamoto, staking a claim for the World Junior Heavyweight Championship. So I'm sure we will see that match in the near future, but now it's time for our main event, the final of the Royal Road Tournament. Suwama tries to get straight back into contention for the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship, while Ashino looks to break his losing streak against Suwama and get some retribution against Jake Lee and the rest of Total Eclipse. The result is a 70 rated match. Shotaro Ashino finally gets a victory over Suwama in 19 minutes and 34 seconds by submission with an ankle hold. Shotaro Ashino wins the Royal Road Tournament and will be Jake Lee's first challenger for the Triple Crown Heavyweight Championship. Shotaro Ashino was really off his game again and only had a 53. He certainly picked the wrong night to have a stinker. Thankfully though, Suwama carried the match with a 67, and to be honest, I'm not quite sure how that adds up to 70, but I'm not going to complain. All in all, I think the tournament was a roaring success, and I'm very excited to get into Ashino versus Jake Lee. Before then, however, we have one last segment where Suwama formally offers Shotaro Ashino a spot in Evolution, which Ashino accepts. So Ashino is now a formal member of Evolution. He has won the Royal Road Tournament, and he will be Jake Lee's first challenger for the title at our next show in October. The final night of the tournament gets a 68 rating. What a performance from everyone involved in the tournament. For my speech, I'd love to praise Ashino, but I don't think I can really justify it. So instead, I'm going to go with Suwama for wrestling 40 minutes in total tonight, Takeshi Sugiyara for a brilliant match against Suwama and a brilliant tournament overall, and last but not least, I will praise Kento Miyahara because he is our best wrestler on the roster by far. So if we look at the feedback for the final night of the tournament, the show was awesome. That's great to see. And if we head over to our top 100s, the first night of the tournament got a 74, our new highest rated show, and night 2 and night 3 both had a 68, which causes a 3-way tie for our second highest rated show ever. As for the matches, of course, Takeshi Sugiyara versus Kento Miyahara getting 79 blows the rest out of the water by some distance. That will do it for this video though, a slightly longer video given that we had to cover 3 shows in one, but I hope you still enjoyed. If you did, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel with the bell icon ticked so you don't miss any future content, and until next time, that's it from me, deuces.